Okay, so the purpose of this video is to, I guess, share my thoughts on the recently released annual report on UAP. All right, so let's see. Why don't we get started? So here's the cover page. Right at the top up here, you got unclassified, trying to make us feel a little special. But yeah, this was put together by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, aka the ODNI. The So I'm going to include a link to the report itself. So go ahead and check that out. That way you can, breeze through it, and I don't have to spend so much time on it. But as I said, this is more or less going to be a summary or even just a discussion of the things that I found very interesting and think that maybe we should all know about as far as this particular report. So it's broken down into several sections. This first section, the executive summary. Um, I'm just going to go over these highlighted parts. So first off is the 144 UAP reports um, during that 17-year period where the ODNI was um, taking reports on UAPs. I'm pretty sure at that point they were classified reports. So since then, there was the preliminary assessment, which took place last year, which was released last year. And I think it was, I want to say June of last year, 2021, I should say. So not 2022. Um, let's see. Since then, there's been 247 new reports, 119 um, after the preliminary assessment, and so that's 510 UAP reports as of August 30th, and we're talking from 17 years ago all the way up to August 30th, 2022. So 510 reports of UAP sightings. That's it, just sightings. We're not talking about anything else. Okay. So that means that um now keep in mind these are mostly military sightings. Okay. Navy, uh US Air Force, and I'll highlight some more of that a little bit later. But I guess the important thing to note here is that these are not including civilian reports. Okay. So NARCAP is not involved. MUFON is not even involved in this report at all. So, I mean, if you were to throw those in, and then of course, all the other sightings that people post on like social media and stuff like that, you know, it's who knows what that number would be. But 510 reports for 17 years already. That's it. All right. Moving on. So while limited data on UAP continues to be a challenge, that part kind of like annoyed me a little bit because one, they have all the all the equipment and they have pretty much a lot of data on this stuff. So see, that was just a little piece, but another piece. Let me just go ahead and read the whole thing. While limited data on UAP continues to be a challenge, the establishment of AARO, with its broad scope of authorities and responsibilities, and its replacement of the UAP task force, um, will allow for increased coordination of efforts against the UAP problems which is in limited data, according to what they're saying. So, see that those statements right there, kind of, um, I don't know. To me, they're contradicting in a way. But moving on. UAP events continue to occur in restricted or sensitive airspace. But yeah, because for one, they're UAPs. They don't necessarily um, care about it being restricted airspace. Why not? They're just going to appear. And as I guess my theory is that they're highly intelligent beings, and time, space, things like that don't necessarily play a factor for them. So therefore, for us, it might seem like unsafe or a potential risk in our secured airspace. For them, it's just they can be wherever they want. They're not going to be able to like physically interact with anyone, or they can, I guess they could if they wanted to. So they choose to be elusive and also be um, I don't know the word right now on my vocabulary other than invincible, right? So like you can't like touch them, like let's say we have one of our best fighter pilots and the very best um, fighter plane or fighter jet, um, and this has happened before. And so let's say you have that scenario where there's a UAP and you have a fighter jet, and the fighter jet just tries to go. It's never going to be able to catch the UAP for and so therefore there's really no way that they can collide with anything in our airspace. There's that. So on to the next piece here. This annual report is provided by the ODNI in response to the requirement from the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, signed off by President Joe Biden 2022. So that's something to note, that this whole report is more or less mandated by the president. So although they were late, um, yeah, they still turned it in, and maybe there's like no repercussions or anything there. But hey, at least we got the report, right? So no worries. I really found it interesting that this next section that I'm going to be highlighting. So the report was drafted by the ODNI's NIM Aviation in conjunction with AARO. However, it does include bunch of other agencies. So we're talking, look at all these acronyms: USD, DIA, FBI, NRO, NGA. I really didn't know all these really existed until you hear some of the names, like the National Geospatial Intelligence. I'm sure they have like sensors of sort that have captured some, whether it's flying objects or submerged underwater. You got all all branches of the military: Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, FAA, so um, commercial pilots and stuff. So what the cool thing about that is that commercial pilots are now able to report to the to AARO if they have a sighting, which they should because we're trying to get closer to understanding what they are, and any report will help as much data as possible. Um, Funny story, I met a pilot one time, asked him about UAPs, laughed in my face. Moving on. So yeah, you got all these different Department of Energy, that National Counterintelligence Security Center. So these are all governmental agencies. Awesome. It would be nice to hear something from like some of these like civilian type of or even like public agencies, such as like MUFON, even though they are, I believe they're funded by a particular branch of the government. Not familiar with which one. And then you got NARCAP. Um, but yeah, like I said, if we added that data, then maybe we'd have a better understanding of what we're dealing with, or maybe they would, um, ODNI and on. So the next section talks about their assumptions. Multiple factors affect the observation or detection of UAPs, such as weather, illumination. I mean, yeah, so like they're just kind of stating things that are like semi-obvious, I guess. I mean, maybe um, someone who just heard about UAPs like 2017 or whatever, they might be like, I guess, impressed by that. Anyways, UAP reports are derived from the observer's accurate recollection of the event. So, yeah, just like any civilian, but moving on. Um, let's move on to this one. However, ODNI and AARO acknowledge that the select number of UAP incidents may be attributable to sensor irregularities, variancy, variances, such as operator or equipment error. So yeah, some of the reports could be, error, but that's like who knows what percentage. Like they're just saying that they don't really have a specific number because yeah, it's hard to which. This next section talks about governmental changes to manage UAP issues. And I'm just gonna go over like the highlighted parts. Let's see. Per its mandate, AARO has the authority to coordinate UAP efforts beyond the DoD, and that means like that whole list of different agencies. Like that's pretty much um, all the different agencies that coordinate with in order to get more data or whatever you want to call it. Um, it's the Department of Defense. It's you know Department of National Intelligence. Technically, if they wanted to, they could even include civilian reports. Why aren't they doing that? Well, let's not even get into that discussion. Not yet, at least. Okay, so this next one is said as the broad scope of authority granted to AARO should enable them to leverage a multi-agency, whole government of approach to understanding, resolving, and attributing UAP in the future. I guess that was interesting because they're just saying like this is kind of like the beginning. We're going to be working with all these agencies. One of them I didn't even read off here, NASA. Yeah, I forgot about NASA. I would really love to do a video on NASA and like my thoughts on um everything that they're everything they're not saying. Uh, but yeah, we'll save it for another time. So that's that. Let's move on to page number 5, where it talks about the continued reporting and robust analysis, blah blah blah. All right, this is probably one of the most fascinating parts that I found uh, in this particular. Well, let's move on. Okay, since the establishment in July 2022, AARO has formulated and started to leverage a robust analysis, blah, blah, blah. Within their findings, um, they stated here that there was 366 newly identified reports informed by a multi-agency process, judged more than I'm sorry, half as exhibiting unmarkable characteristics. This one was interesting because they pretty much came up with a new acronym. So 26 are characterized as unmanned aircraft systems, or UAS. I mean, people like the first thing we think about, because that's our point of reference, are like drones, but these are not drones. Absolutely not drones. Uh, don't even say Russian. Don't even say Chinese. We all know the United States has the best toys in the playground. All right. So moving on, 163 were characterized as balloon or balloon-like entities. Not weather balloons, balloon-like entities. So they know that they're intelligently controlled, and yet they have balloon-like characteristics. So think about that for a second. Um, Everything that we know is being challenged just by those, just by these two statements right here. All right. Some of these uncharacterized UAP appear to have demonstrated unusual flight characteristics. They didn't really want to go into detail what they are, but I can only guess that we're talking about zigzags, you know, um, 0 to 60, and who knows how fast. Uh, let's see. The ODNI and AARO are committed to the responsible sharing of UAP findings. Again, they're probably just talking about sightings, really, because how can I say it? If you were to um, take it a bit further, I mean, we want to be able to see it. We want to also be able to touch technology, play with it. But um, this goes to a lot of different things that come to mind, such as radiation. Are we going to get radiation sickness if we get close to the technology? Maybe that's why it's being like kept secret, that it protects the people. I mean, honestly, I don't believe that one, but I'm just throwing it out there. You never know. So that was my thought on that one. Let's go on to this one: flight safety concerns and health implications. This one's interesting also because they're pretty much telling us something here. So UAP pose a threat of flight and collision hazard to air assets within our restricted airspace and all that. So um, they're pretty much telling us that it's like a risk, or yeah, like collision risk there. However, they also state to date, there have been no reported collisions. All right, no reported collisions between U.S. aircraft and UAP. So, I mean, that's pretty much telling you that it's not as big of a risk, um, a hazard or whatnot, because as of now, there hasn't been any collision. So, regarding health concerns, there have also been no encounters with UAP confirmed. All right, to attribute directly to adverse health related effects to the observers. This kind of contradicts to everything we've learned if you've dug deep into the rabbit hole about UAP and the different stories of not only pilots, but I'm going to go ahead and say it, civilian people who have encountered UAPs and have gotten sick from them, whether it's like radiation, like adverse effects to their skin, or radiation sickness of some other way. Um, but yeah, this, I mean, how can I don't want to say they're lying here, but at the same time, you do have to think about what exactly are they presenting to us. They're just presenting like a report, maybe this particular department or the departments that worked together to present us this report, maybe they honestly don't have like the goods, you know. Let's get into that in a minute. All right, so summary and way ahead. UAP continued to represent a hazard to flight safety and pose a possible adversary collection threat. Um, so again, are they really a flight safety or hazard? I mean, they even stated it there as of today or as of date, they haven't had any reports of any collisions. So that kind of out the window. And then the other one was pose a possible adversary collection threat. So meaning like Russian um, or any other adversary collecting like information on us or on our equipment or whatnot. I might have spoken that wrong, but I think you get the point. Let's see. UAP reporting has increased. I mean, once you start letting the cat out of the bag, yeah, people are going to keep talking, they're going to continue to report, especially now that we got AARO. So, yeah, of course, um, we're going to have more reports. And then it says partially due to the concentrated effort to destigmatize the topic. Um, have we just destigmatized the topic? I mean, can you go to a grocery store and just talk to someone about UAPs just like you would about the presidential elections? I think we should be doing that. Um, and I think the UAP issue, and maybe I could speak on this a little more in detail in another video. The UAP issue is much more significant than any presidential election at any point in our history. That, I mean, for many of like patriots and people are like super proud, like I get it, man. I love America too. I served in the military, and sometimes you just gotta accept it. This is it's a huge issue, the secrecy, and it's a huge topic because the implications of like the release of the technology of the information, it's world changing. I'm talking about, well, many of us have already heard people like Dr. Stephen Greer and many others kind of give their thoughts on it. But what are the implications here? That type of technology it can do so much. I mean, let's just start with free energy. I mean, let's go to the next one. Um, I'm not sure of the process where you remove the salt out of salt water and make it safe for drinking water. Um, let's see, off the top of my head, I mean, that's like the two big ones, free energy. I mean, free energy, like that's powering our vehicles. powering our homes, um, powering our food supply, and it goes on and on. It can change the world for the better. I mean, this would, it's probably why I haven't released, but come on here. Um, yeah, the rest is pretty, um, I guess for them, like they just to explain certain things like annual report on UAP, just telling us that no later than October 31st, 2026. Uh, oh, so every year, October 31st, we're supposed to get a report. This one came late. Let's hope the next one doesn't come late. And then it's supposed to continue up until 2026, and of course they renew it or whatever. But who knows what's going to happen from now to 2026? I mean, 2017 they had the New York Times article, and we barely had that. The the UAP and UFO hearing was in July, so July 2023. So we're talking like 6 years. Um, so 3 years down the road, 4 years down the road. I mean, anything can happen. Who knows? It, I left the link of this particular of this report in the description, so go ahead and check that out. I'm not going to go through all this stuff because a lot of it's just blah blah blah. Like seriously, appendix index of key terms. I mean, some of the stuff, it, I guess, yeah, it's needed. Let's say if you're going to give a presentation and stuff like that, you know. But for the most part, like under this one here, establishing procedures to require timely and consistent reporting of such incidents. Well, yeah, you better do that. You know, I'm not going to go through all those little details, but I highlighted like probably the key ones, the things that stuck out to me. Um, if something sticks out to you, and maybe we can highlight it in the comments. Okay, so that was that. I do have my final thoughts. I'm going to go through real quick. I have it written down on a piece of paper right here. So, uh, so first of all, DNI, DoD, they put a lot of effort to show like the public um, all the information that they did, so, such as like even the acknowledgement of um, things in our airspace that technically shouldn't be there. So that in itself is historic. What else can we say about that? However, they're not still not ready to disclose anything else, and that's kind of upsetting to say the least. But maybe we're not ready. Well, we will get there. The purpose of the report is to show the public that they are taking it seriously by involving so many agencies. That's kind of cool because each of these agencies has like a website, you know, and you never know, maybe each one has like a little something on UAPs. That's something you probably explore there. Um, the report lacks a lot of what a lot of us true enthusiasts were looking for, but let's be honest, we're not going to get that. We're not going to get that, at least not in like a report, at least not yet. Those things, let's just go into it real quick. They lack talking about back engineering, right? And didn't Mike Gallagher call out the DoD at the hearing regarding the Maelstrom Air Force incident back in the 1960s? And obviously, nothing was stated about that. I mean, they could have put a section that said, "Here are the incidents of throughout history that we're still investigating." They could have at least said that, but it's okay. Not gonna get there. They didn't talk about um, yeah, they didn't talk about Roswell battle over Los Angeles of the 1940s. They especially didn't talk about the back engineering or that they didn't even clarify, or I'm sorry, um, confirm whether or not the theory of the T3RB is true. Um, and they especially didn't even talk about, they could have had another section that talked about aerospace agencies like Lockheed Skunk Works. Um, and share with us whether or not it's okay. So yeah, maybe they're not going to share that stuff. those are the things that are classified and completely. Hey, we're not ready for it, I guess. So, yeah, it was frustrating a little bit to read it, but at the same time, it's historical, so that's what I liked about it. Um, let's, yeah, the DoD is making, I'm sorry, the DoD is making it seem as if UAPs are a threat, but they also stated in the report that there haven't been any collisions. So, are they really a threat? I guess if you want to like dig deep into that thought, um, according to the data, they're probably not a threat. Like, honestly. But if you're a hardcore enthusiast like myself, then you'll probably want to explore things like mm, um, good versus bad, or how can I say, let's see, entities that have came here and have interacted with humans, or I'm gonna go ahead and say it, the different theories of the different ET species and whatnot. So where am I going with this? um, So are they a threat? I mean, if it's a reptilian, in like some fusion powered aircraft, then yeah, probably it is, based off of those types of theories. Um, is it like an insectoid? I don't know. But if it is it a threat? I mean, I guess it depends who you talk to, because based on um abductee reports, if you, I mean, you can't necessarily discredit those or discount them because they're out there. Um, if we take those things into account, now we're probably gonna have a better understanding of what we're dealing with. Let's leave it at that. All right. Um, something interesting to point out. What if we did come into contact with the vehicles? Are we gonna get sick? That's kind of what I asked earlier. Um, maybe that's why we're not being told the truth because let's see. Hmm, there is this other one. Another theory, I should say, that the beings are, well, the UAP are intelligently controlled, and the controllers or the beings are, how you say, um, protectors of humanity to ensure their spiritual development, um, and not interfering with it, with the development, and also not letting any other negative entities interfere with that development. So then, if we buy into that theory, then yeah, maybe some UAP are a threat while others aren't. It just depends. All right. Um, so yeah, I still don't think that reptilians and insectoids are off the table. Um, I don't think grays are off the table either. And in this report, they could have mentioned something about Skinny Bob, right? I know a lot of people want to talk about Skinny Bob and stuff. The video looks so real. I honestly, I'd like to say it's real, but I don't know. Yeah. So let's see. Um, I do believe this is only the beginning. Um, well, the preliminary assessment was like the beginning. Then we had the um, the hearings. Now we got this report. But what I'm saying is, this time right now that we're in is more or less the beginning of something that's going to be more world changing, I would say. So yeah, I do think it's time for us to start to believe and open up our range of possibilities because um, yeah, 5 years ago we wouldn't have had this report. If you would have told somebody that in 2022 they would bring out a report on UAP, I mean, yeah, they'll hit you with everything, man. Um, they might even send you to like board or something. But do that now. You do that to anybody right now. um, you'll get a mix of uh, feedback. I know that there are people like willing to, at least around me, that people that I've kind of tried to introduce the topic to. Some people are willing to hear it and are open-minded to the possibility, while others are still closed-minded. And you know what? Those are the people who aren't ready. And unfortunately, we have a lot of those people that are, I guess, holding back the collective. And that's why I always say, yeah, we're not ready. When I start conversating with these people more often and they start in fact believing, then that's when I'm gonna start believing, yes, we're actually getting closer and we are soon to be ready. And maybe that's when UAP, the entities behind them, can actually disclose themselves. And maybe that would be what they call true disclosure, as opposed to presidential disclosure or a presidential level type of disclosure. Um, so going forward, 2023 onward, what can I say to the UAP and UFO community as well as to the world is that we should, um, I don't want to say stop the skepticism because I think it helps challenge our thinking. However, when you are skeptical, you should also be open to the truth and be open-minded because you're going to get challenged. And yeah, I'm going to say it, you are the ones that are holding us back, but that's okay. Take your time. The truth is there whenever you're willing to open your mind to it and open up yourself to like receive the truth. And um, yeah, um, let's see. I'm not sure what else I can say. Skeptics, but one last thing I do want to say. It might sound cheesy, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Um, it's actually a hashtag. Yeah, I was hoping I can make a T-shirt of it and then put a nice face of this individual. Um, the final thing I'd like to say is hashtag free Bob Lazar. So what does that mean exactly? It means quite literally free the guy. Give him amnesty. Give him um how can I say this? Admit to the fact that somebody screwed up someone's life for the rest of their life. But you know what? It's not too late to turn it around and to free the guy. But also not just to Bob, but to all the other Bob Lazars out there, um, and other people who are ready to come out and share their experience with either entity, the technology, or anything else associated with the phenomenon. I think it's time for us to finally start opening up, accepting the truth, and moving forward. See where it takes us. Not being scared. Like that fear is what's going to hold us back. And I do believe that in my lifetime, at least, that we'll get there and we'll get to meet them. But maybe like on a conscious level or something, because you can't connect to their frequency or whatnot. But maybe not in this state. But yeah, feel free to go ahead and download that uh, the report. I'll put it in the description and check out the other links I post on there. And thank you very much. Peace.